Welcome to Trenchometry. If you've spent any time in or around the trenches, playing offensive line isn't just blocking. It's chest at light speed. You're controlling angles while 280-pound defender tries to destroy your running back. Every snap, calculating leverage, mirroring footwork, and anchoring against pure violence. Miss one step and your franchise player gets flattened. We're here to discuss the most undervalued aspect of the game of football, the offensive line. Remember, you master the trench, you'll win the war. My guest today hails from Manchester, Missouri, where he was a two-time first-team all-conference offensive lineman and a two-time all-state academic selection. He anchored the Parkway South Patriots as the team captain, an Ironman, and the Mr. Patriot Award winner. He decided to move his talents to Terre Haute, Indiana, where he has taken up the right guard position for the Fighting Sycamores of Indiana State. He's a multi-sport athlete who excelled on the baseball diamond at first base as well. He just finished his redshirt freshman season and will be looking to fill a larger role with the Sycamore offensive line this upcoming season. Today, I would like to welcome to Trenchometry Mr. Andy Hertlein. Andy, how
Thanks
you
for
doing
having
today?
me. Doing
I'm
great.
excited to have you, man. I got starting to form a little connection there with the Sycamore offensive line with you and Drew Page being guests here. It's pretty cool. So tell me, as we start off, you're still in middle spring ball here. You got a few practices left, you mentioned, and tell me how that spring ball is going for you so far this year.
Yeah, spring's been great. We came back from spring break, got prepped, got our install going, and kind of hopped right into it. First few days, obviously acclimation, and then get going. And it's been really awesome starting out, trying to earn a job, feeling out everything. A lot of new guys in the.
I was going to say, as you started spring ball, where were you? Did you have a depth chart position? Like, where did you find yourself in the midst of all that as you started the spring ball?
Yeah, I mean, start the spring early on. I would say I was probably somewhere in the 2 to 3 range at center. I had toyed with playing guard last in fall camp, but really hadn't played it a whole lot or practiced it even in high school. High school as a tackle up until my senior year where I transitioned to center. So it's definitely been awesome learning a new position. There's a lot of different technical things. Obviously, you got to clean up different parts of slides, steps, pulling is a big deal because never, other than pulling as a tackle in high school, I've really never pulled. It's kind of crazy, but it's just the reality of it. So it's been really good. Oh, you're good. We've been rolling around, and I think the energy's been pretty awesome this spring with a lot of new guys.
And you guys are coming off a pretty successful fall season there, so you got to have some expectations going into next year.
Yeah, we had the big upset in South Dakota State, early win against Eastern Illinois. I think going into next season, we return a very young core of players, and that's really awesome to see. Everybody's gotten to get to know each other and, mesh as a team. I think that's really important in a world today where we're dealing with the portal and people getting paid money and all this stuff. Just getting to know the guys that playing next to you. It's been really awesome just to hang out with everybody this spring and see how everyone's doing.
Is that something, you mentioned the portal there and guys coming and going, does that make it more difficult to start relationships with guys and have deeper relationships with guys?
So coming in, I really thought that was going to be an issue. Guys are constantly rotating and, it really hasn't been that way. Drew was a transfer. He transferred in the summer that I came in as a freshman. So, Drew's been awesome. We have multiple other transfers. We have 3 transfer alignment that joined us this spring. And I think just the culture of the team, the culture of the room has really made it easier to get to know everybody and hang out with people. I think it's place to place. Obviously haven't been anywhere else, but what I've heard collectively, a lot of people's experiences here have been really positive. So
if I remember correctly, Drew was sharing how the young guys have to buy milkshakes. Was that him that was telling me that story about milkshakes, that they make the young guys buy milkshakes for him at some milkshake place up there? Does that sound right?
No.
Okay, so you didn't have to
No,
do
it's
that.
not
Okay,
Drew.
that's good. I can't remember. I thought it was Drew was telling me about the milk. They had the young guys buy milkshakes, and they went to this milkshake place, and they had a record board of how fast they could drink the milkshake. I must not have been, must have been somebody else.
Yeah,
All right,
that's interesting.
good.
But
Well, no worries. So here's my question for you: transitioning from center to guard or tackle to guard, what's been the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome moving to that new position this spring?
yeah, it's a great question. I think it's been interesting. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. Just pulling in general has been something that never have done it. Footwork's totally different. You've got a whole plethora of different options, I guess. Open pull, skip pull. We have a slow pull, but it's been interesting. Coming in from last fall, my biggest thing I wanted to work on was pad level posture, trying to position myself in a position to win every single rep. Coming out of high school, you're stronger and bigger than people. You don't have to think about those things as much, but playing Division I football, it's definitely been a focus early in my spring, was trying to really get low and get underneath guys while staying in a good posture with bent knees.
I like that. Is there I know that during the course of my college career, I started at center, I started at left tackle, I played game time at guard, and then I moved out to tight end my 5th year. And I felt that going from guard to tackle, for me, the angles were a little bit different. You gotta be moving out. You gotta get to that spot on pass pro. You're a little bit more open area on run blocking. Whereas at guard, that guy's right up in your face. You don't have the depth. You're setting the depth of the pocket there, at guard. And so you can't get pushed back into that quarterback's launch pad area. You don't want to have him stepping up on you or having his hand hit the back of your helmet. Did you find that as a challenge for you being now at guard, having less, like just less give, I guess, is what on the pass pro is what I kind of felt.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely been something that's interesting. The center, it's tricky because you got to snap the ball and get off. So there's definitely for me personally, I felt like the game slowed down quite a bit for me. Moving positions, center, I've got a lot of combos to call, IDs, IDing the front, IDing the backers. So to me, I actually think it's kind of felt like the opposite to an extent, where the game is I have time to think
Mm.
versus for myself what I'm going to do. Maybe and you don't want to. We run tempo offense here at ISU, so there really hasn't been a whole lot of time to think, especially at center. I think just the brief second you have between plays to kind of gather what you're going to do and how you're going to do it has made a big influence on me. But yeah, for sure. I mean, drill work has changed. You have a wider landmark on wide zone. You're going to be in a more than likely you might not be in a combo. There's catch and reach blocks, different things like that. Center almost always have help, so it's definitely varied a little bit.
That's a good point that you make there with the angles being a little bit different. Did you find that the guard or guard and center, you kind of have that same guy in your face mentality, and then you said things slowed down for you. Was this something that when you say slowed down, is it reacting to the speed of the defender? Is it coming up with the roles and the responsibilities in your job description quicker? Like when you break the huddle, I know when I was a young guy, we'd have like 2 or 3 plays called in the huddle. It was like to check at the line of scrimmage. So he'd get up
Yeah,
there and go through the color, and it'd be like green 88, ready to go. Or, you whatever the number was the play that we were calling. So you had that
yeah.
instant of a time to do it. Is that kind of the same type of thing you got? Are you on a time crunch like that to know your responsibilities?
So we're in no huddle offense, so really fast paced tempo. And I've definitely you hear the play call, the center ID is the front, calls the combo, and you're going. Like there's
Yeah.
no so it's definitely been like an adjustment coming from high school where you're huddling and waiting between plays and you got so much time. It's time's key. I mean, how many plays you can run, how many first downs can you get, how fast can you get into the end zone. So yeah.
And you're a big dude too, right? You're about 6'4", about through 295, 300.
Yeah.
So physically, did you find a challenge moving from high school to college? Was that a big deal, the physical challenge, or your big, strong girth? Like, did that hold you okay? You were able to compete physically?
Yeah, I mean, I came in over the summer at 290, slowly progressing that weight. It's been it's been nice. It's not hasn't had to pack it on quick. I think there's still an adjustment period, just the size of the guys you're going against. I
Mm.
mean, I think the average guy we have in our room is probably close to 280 pounds. You're not just walking some small little guy from 15 minutes down the road. Maybe a guy from Iowa, a guy from California. It's all over the place. South Dakota. It's different for sure.
Have you found yourself having to rely on technique a little bit more because of the size,
Yeah,
the same size, same-ish, going against the same-ish size guy? Is that a technique where you're just falling back? You default to that technique used to make sure that you can use that strength and power in the right direction?
yeah. I mean, that's definitely been something that's been a learning curve for me coming out of. I mean, in high school, there for a while, I thought I was going to play college baseball.
Mhm.
So making a big adjustment my junior year, trying to get in. I train over at Elite Football Academy in St. Louis, Missouri. Shout out. Uh, they've been really awesome. My junior, senior years get me ready to come up. Tech from a technique standpoint, drills, connections, all of that, and it's been really awesome to come up here and have like a foundation
Mhm.
that I think has started me in a good spot. And you mean Coach Funk is so knowledgeable. It's incredible. It's been awesome to learn from him and, you know, absorb everything he tells me.
Let's go. You mentioned that baseball thing. Let's touch on that for a second. What got you changing gears there from college baseball to college football?
Yeah. So it was I guess, fall of my junior year. I hadn't gone to any football camps. I hadn't really even consider playing college football as an option. And I get in and I'm active on Twitter, but I'm posting about baseball stuff. Well, I'm in football season and I lift in school and like during the day, and my lifting coach, who awesome and has been, huge impact on my life, but was like, well, we're gonna post this, and so I posted it, and he's also our defensive coordinator at my high school, and we posted it, we got it up, and Lindenwood reached out, and I took a junior day visit to Lindenwood that fall, and that kind of was like, well, this is a possibility. This isn't something I've considered. Let's kind of see how this goes. Started going after that fall, going to the elite and learning stuff, and then by that spring, the gains I'm making in the weight room, 265, almost 270 pounds. I'm looking at it and like, is this really going to be an option? I think just the recruiting took off, and it was like all of a sudden I've got a visit for football every weekend, and I've talked to, 4 baseball coaches in the last month versus, guys in my DMs. And I'm like, well, this is a no brainer. I think it's something I need to pursue. So yeah, I mean, that spring definitely that fall going into spring kicked it off.
But would you say baseball was your first love? Was that what your focus was there as far as why you were leaning that way first? I mean, being a big dude, you would think that football would be your main line, being that big a dude,
Yeah,
because you don't see a whole lot of 6'4", 275-pound first baseman running around in the MLB,
right.
So where's those priorities? How those priorities get hashed out?
Yeah, I think it strands from where my family growing up, we're always a big baseball family. St. Louis is a huge baseball town.
Mhm.
So that made a big impact growing up. Always loved baseball and started playing football as more of something my parents wanted me to do. Going into middle school, my friends were going to play. My basketball coach actually ended up being the head football coach in my junior, and he was like, "Hey, come out, try it out. You don't have to play, but I think you'd enjoy it." And looking back, it was something that I really didn't think at the time. I remember that not wanting to go and, being scared of the unknown
Mhm.
in a sense, and I'm so glad that it was in the cards for me and everything's been awesome. I
As you get into like, this intrigues me because I had a former player years ago. His name was Shane Kelly. He ended up playing, he was all New England at Brown University, and his mom insisted after his sophomore season that he was not going to play college football and that he was going to focus on baseball. And I begged her and pleaded with her to let him play football as a junior, and she was afraid he was going to get hurt. And he actually did break a bone in his leg his senior year and missed a couple games. So it was a small crack. But I said, look, your son's super smart. He is a phenomenal football player, and it's going to open doors for him in college. And there's 120 guys on a football team in college, and there's only 25 guys on a baseball team in college. So you have almost 5 times more slots on the football team than you do the baseball team. Well, let's give this a shot. And so I begged and I pleaded. Eventually, she relented and allowed her son to continue playing with us. And he started for us in a state championship game and went on to the regional finals, I think, the next year. And so Shane ends up being a phenomenal football player in college because I saw the talent, and I begged and begged and begged and wouldn't let it go. So it's kind of cool that you kind of have that same personality in your life, kind of seeing some potential there on the football side of things. And do you think you would have had the same, would you be at Indiana State playing baseball right now, potentially, if you hadn't gone out on the football field?
Yeah, probably not, to be honest. I mean,
Oh, okay.
and that's really I have always had the drive, the passion, the work ethic to get myself into a position where I wanna be. I've set my goals. I'm realistic about them, but I try to achieve them as timely as possible. But there's you're talking to if obviously someone is my size. I think I could have ended up playing a Division II Missouri baseball team or something like
Mhm.
that, but I don't think there's a world where I end up at a school like Indiana State. I mean, they're probably gonna win the Valley this year. They've had really awesome success. I've gone out to a few games, so yeah.
So you're maximizing your potential in the spot that you're at, and Indiana State's got a young dude that's going to have the opportunity to start for 4 years. That's not something that you see very often either. And you said you had a couple transfers come in from outside Indiana State that were coming from different schools. So I'm assuming that you started off at number 2, 3 on the depth chart, and you've worked your way up into a starting position there at right guard. Did you just come out head and shoulders above everybody? How did you go about putting yourself in position to win that job outright?
Coming out, Coach Funk grades us out every day, and it's something that I think is awesome. You can categorize and numerically order how you did each day, and
Mhm.
he's keeping track of it over the course of the spring, so your percentage and everything. And from the start, I mean, I had a really, really bad first day in spiders. Well, it was almost a wake up call. hey, what are we doing? Are we in? Or are we out? And it wasn't that I hadn't been straining my tail off in the weight room or anything, but it was just like, hey, you can't redshirt again. You're going to start using these years of eligibility. Why not be on the field? That was kind of the mentality. Is like, I don't want to do another season of not getting the opportunity to be on the field.
You're talking about, I asked you, the question was, what did you have to do in order to move up the depth chart this year to go from second or third on the depth chart and move up and put yourself in front of some of these guys that are coming from other institutions that you would think would be somebody that they would have accountability with and for as far as being contributors right away. And if they brought three in, and I know Drew's a starter guy already returning, so there's only really, if you count three transfers in as probably starters, they wouldn't have come in if they didn't see some potential for them to contribute right away. You've kind of put yourself above all those guys and worked out a position for yourself here. So what was it that you were doing? And you had a bad first day. You had a self conversation with yourself there after the first day where it was a bad day, and you said, I don't want to redshirt anymore. I'm on the clock now.
Yeah.
I got to make this time happen. So what'd you do day two? What was it that day two that changed around or turned around for you to kind of get you on the path to gaining ground and moving up the depth chart?
Yeah, there's almost a Coach Funk calls it like a cloudiness or a spaciness. Like you don't play with 100% because you're questioning in the back of your head, just somewhere like, hey, am I doing this right? He said he's seeing a lot of freshmen. You understand the playbook. You're smart. There's no question that you don't, like, you're not understanding. There's like a level of just not playing full tilt. And I think that was the biggest difference for me going forward is I've just tried to minimize that. Hey, is this right? And just playing. And I think playing guard has helped with that too. You make the call at center. It's like, "Oh, shoot, was that right?" Because you don't have time to think.
Hmm.
So if you're thinking while you're playing, I think that makes a big difference. And it's been good to get out of that and just be able to just go. And I think that was a big part of it. Just don't think. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but
Yeah,
not
no,
thinking
react.
sometimes is,
Yeah, you got to react.
yeah,
You're the best players are reacting. They're not thinking about what they need
right.
to do or what they want to do. They're reacting to the environment and the circumstances and the reactions they see around them, and they're doing that. It's funny you say the confusion part. I remember as a young kid, as a freshman kid going into the first spring for myself, I was playing. They had me at center and guards, and I was playing left guard, center, right guard, and rolling through them all. In fact, at the end of my spring football season, they brought me in. We had our postseason conference with the coach, and I had had more snaps than anybody else on the offensive line that spring. And what was crazy was, I mean, I think we had two returning All-Americans on the team. Like they were just saving these guys in the spring. They didn't need a whole lot of reps. So I was the cannon fodder. They threw me out there to do it, which was fine for me. But it's crazy for me. I got really confused going from left guard one play to center one play to right guard one play. And we had our trap call. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this for as long as I live. Our trap was 130, 131. And on 130, you had the back block to the right, to the left, and on 131, you had the back block to the right. And I was left guard on one play, and we ran 130. And then the next play, I'm at center, and we ran 130 again. And so I'm going the opposite direction. And it was a 130, 131 check was the call, and they checked 130, and I went the wrong way. And I will never forget how confused I was just on the stupid trap call that was not that big a deal, but because I was playing in three different positions that had different things to do on that particular play, I couldn't get my young brain wrapped around what I had to do. And so I feel bad for dudes. I always felt bad for the guys that couldn't remember what was supposed to happen when it was supposed to happen. It's usually those young guys because they're questioning, is that the one where I back block? Is that the one where I pull? Is that the one, they have all these
Yeah.
questions going on, and there's so many voices going on, and then they got to listen to the quarterback, and then they're listening to their wingman make their line calls, and then they got to worry about calling out what technique you got. So all this protocol of communicating that's supposed to happen, all of a sudden that young minds got so much going on in it that you forget to step with the correct foot, or your toes not at the right angle, or your hands aren't in the right spot, or you're looking at your eyes are in the wrong. That litany of stuff to do is so long. It's a challenge. So hats off to you, man. You worked through that real quick and managed to make the best of your spring football so far. And as you get in it, I asked one of the guys this earlier, what do you like about practice? What's the one thing about practice that pulls you in every day? You're like, yes, I get to do this. Is there one particular drill, one particular segment or occurrence that you look forward to on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, so far this spring on the full pad days, I love the live periods. It's playing
Mhm.
real football. You can't have defensive guys saying, "Oh, I would have made that play," or this would have happened if we could tackle. And it's like live periods is like it negates all of that. It's
Mhm.
put the football down and go. And that's definitely been the best part of the spring for me is you get to see what truly happens on a play of football and you get to just go and you forget sometimes guys across from you. I hang out with one of my freshman D linemen all the time. I think you just have to take that out of the back of your mind and forget about it for the next 2 hours and you can be friends with them and make up with them in the locker room after, but you just gotta go get them.
How much does that practice linger after practice? How much is what happens during practice linger after practice with you
Yeah,
guys? Is that a point of, trash talk for a period of time?
I think we're really good as a program of, you know, forgiving and forgetting
Mhm.
and moving on. At the end of the day, we're teammates, and you gotta remember that. And I think that's, something Coach Mallory does a really good job about. You mess up, you do something you're not supposed to at practice, fight breaks out, whatever. It's not ideal, obviously, but the way that people respond and after practice and come up, give each other a hug, that's been my experience. If anything like that ever happens, there's never really any sort of hostility after
No, doesn't
practice.
linger.
No, and I think it's probably place to place, but I think the culture here really makes that more of an aspect
Are you are
we don't have
you
to worry about.
are you having a bunch of fights break out?
No,
No, not too many?
I think
Okay.
we've no. I mean, it's always one of those things. Like sometimes something will break out. It's just guys trash talking, and it'll be very minimal. But I think for the most part, we've had a lot of guys who are competitive, whistle to whistle, and leave it whistle to whistle. So I think it's been good.
Well, it's a cool environment, and you got that iron sharpening iron aspect going on where everybody wants to win, but you realize that making that other guy better makes everybody better, right? And
Yeah,
and at the end, ultimately, you're all wearing the blue jersey when it all comes down to it, and you want the blue jersey to be the best one on the field, regardless of whoever it is. Are you having any responsibilities on special teams?
yeah. I'm the boundary guard right now. So it's been new to me. I actually long snapped in high school, and so it's been a totally new position. Kind of got thrown in there, and it's been cool experience. Obviously, offensive lineman, you're braced up. The only thing you're really going to be on is field goal PAT.
So when you say
But
what's boundary corner, is that you're always to the boundary on the PAT field goal team?
yeah,
Okay.
so we have boundary and field sides. Depending on we'll have tackle over sometimes, different
Mhm.
stuff like that. I think it's definitely different because you're changing
That's
stances.
what I was getting ready to say. You gotta be able to
So
go both foot up stances there for you guys in a 2-point stance or a 3-point stance on your PAT
we're in
field
a
goal?
3 point. Yeah,
3-point, okay. And so
yeah,
you're right next to the center, so that's not too bad a position on the PAT field goal team. You might get a couple guys coming through a gap trying to blow a gap. Have you
right.
ever been out at the tight end spot where you can't really see the ball snapped and so you're just hoping that you get a good read on anything? Have you ever been that far away?
I have not. I know one of our tackles is in that position right now, and
How
he's a
does he
big,
like
huge,
it?
strong dude. And I mean, it's hard. You've got your arms extended. You're trying to cross the gaps, and you've got 3 or 4 guys maybe running at you. And I mean, I'm sure he's not a huge fan of it, but he doesn't
Yeah.
complain, and he does his job really well. So yeah,
I will tell you, I've been that guy out there. It sucks, man, because you can't see the ball snapped. And so the defensive guy can see the ball snapped. You're going on his movement and they're jumping and they're moving and so you're constantly getting bob and weaved out there. And I did not like being that far. I'd much rather be the guy shooting the snap back or standing next to the center or guard and having the big lunkheads try to run into you than be out there with like those little fast dudes that can run right by you and when you don't have a shot of knowing what's going on. Oh, wow. That you guys obviously practice that during practice, or is that something you got to do on your own? Make sure you understand both
yeah.
those stances.
So I mean, Coach Funk goes over it obviously in meetings, technique, everything like that. We have special teams meetings, but we have had few uh, during some of the live days of practice. We've gotten the opportunity to go live on a few field goal PATs. Most of
Is there
them are 2 steps, and they're
and
calling it.
thud?
So
Yeah. Are you?
yeah, and
Do you
thud.
find one side more challenging than the other? Do you have a problem being in a left-handed stance?
Not really. I
Okay.
mean, as someone who's played center, you have to be able to pass pro both directions. So
Yeah.
the way I'm thinking about it as well, now I'm in a left. I'm setting left. Not really. You're just dropping that back foot and
Mhm.
anchoring, but at the same time, I think being a center for so much of my life has really helped out with that side of it. Yeah.
Being ambidextrous with your feet makes it a little bit easier
Yeah.
that way. What's the worst thing for you at practice? What's that? Coach says, "All right, we're getting ready to do fill in the blank," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, no."
So I think it's a drill that needs to be done every day. But we have a mirror drill,
Okay.
rabbit drill, where you're just mirroring the defensive guy on the other side of you. you're staying in posture, you're shuffling, setting, you're trying to hold the line of scrimmage. Well, I think it's one of those drills is like it sucks for those 5 to 10 seconds here in the middle of it, but I think it has to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other way to replicate that other than taking one-on-one reps against a D lineman.
Are
And I
your
think
are your hands on the defender on that one, or are you just belly button to belly
if
button?
he comes across the line, you're expected to punch him
Punch,
and
okay.
maintain contact. Yeah, so I love the drill. I think I say that. I think it's an awesome drill for what it gets done. From a output standpoint, it's definitely one of the more taxing drills we do.
Yeah,
It's
for
like,
sure.
oh, but he does a good job making sure we're not gassed when we're doing it. So
How long a burst are you going? 10, 15 seconds?
yeah, even less most of the time.
Okay,
It's a play, a play to a play and a half
okay.
in length, and not a drill that's supposed to like kill you, but at the same time, if you're doing it right, you should be out of breath when you're standing
Yeah,
up for just for a
100%.
second.
What do you during that drill, what do you focus? What's your focus as you're going through that drill?
I'm trying to stay inside out of the guy and keep my posture. I think posture is definitely the biggest thing. Keep your knees up, keep your arms ready to punch because you don't know if he's going to come across the line
Mhm.
or get in range to deliver that kind of punch. So it's one of those things. Yeah, that's my thing.
When do you start? What's your trigger for when you start your punch?
That's a good question. It's not really something I've
That's hard
thought
to
about.
it's hard to put into words,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's kind of a feeling.
right. It's a feel. It's more than it is anything else. There's definitely, I think, an art to it, though. If you have a good punch, no one's gonna get past you, in my opinion. You can
Yeah.
take the wind out of the rush, and you can settle it in. I think there's not really a rule to it. I think there's times where I know that I'm leaning and getting into it too much, and I think that when that happens, I usually will take a deep breath or try to slow myself down just a
Mhm.
bit. But being in the tempo offense, it's not the guys are usually starting to get worn down
Yeah.
and the rushes are a little clumsier. It's easier to time it up.
I think there's a lot of variables that go into it. One is how long your arms are, right?
Yeah.
And two, how fast the guy across from you is, right? And then the third thing is at what point after judging how fast he is and judging how long you are, you got to do the calculations. You got to do the calculus there so the math fits so that you're timing that thing up so that you're getting your punch out just before you're completely extended, but not before you're too extended so that you don't have enough power to extend into the pass rusher,
Yeah.
right? And then are
One of
you
my
go ahead.
one of my coaches has growing up at Elite Football Academy, his rule is always you're 10% to 90%. You never should be at
Mm,
100% extension out
mhm.
on a guy because most likely you're going to be out of posture, you're going to get pushed pulled, something's going to happen. 10% to 90% and explode in that range. So I think you got to know obviously the length of your rusher, how long, fast he is. But at the same time, I think arm length can be something that's a little bit overrated at times. Look at guys like Will Campbell, they're talking all about him. And at the end of the day, he's still, in the NFL.
Yeah. Hey, poor Will had a tough end of season, right? The Super Bowl didn't go
Yeah,
so well for him, but he was like the media darling for darn near 3/4 of the season. Think looking back, I think when he hurt his knee,
that injury, yeah.
yeah, I don't think he was full speed in the Super Bowl, and I think it was preventing him from being his athleticism was something that made him, um, formidable, and I think he was just he whatever was wrong with his knee, I think it kinda hampered that, but you bring up a good point there. He's not necessarily known for having the super long arms, but that athleticism helps compensate for all
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
that you're missing out on. And most of the time, are you seeing as defensive tackles, most of the time they're gonna be the shorter arm guys, right? Like, you're not
Yeah.
going against a 6'7" guy who's got a 6'11" or 7'1" reach most of the time. They're gonna be somewhat reasonable unless you have some sort of monster across from you, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had most of our D linemen that I've faced have a reasonable arm length to where
Mm,
if I get inside, punch inside and stay inside and lock up, I should have the longer arms. I think I have an 80, 81-inch wingspan.
okay.
I don't know what that equates to, but it's not bad.
No.
Um,
About 6'9"?
yeah. So
Yeah.
for a guy who's 6'4", it's pretty good. But there's definitely you got to play more of the hand games if someone's long. There's the way to attack it is totally different, I think,
Yeah, I
for
agree.
sure.
You wanna keep them closer almost. It's almost like you wanna allow him to get a little bit closer to negate the advantage of the arm length. Are you a two-hand guy or a one-hand guy when you're punching? How do you go about that?
Yeah, as a center, it's always kind of been pow pow,
Mhm.
just because the right hand's slow getting up from the snap. But then you're looking around, and now I think at right guard, it's more of a two hand, maybe slightly staggered. And I think from a coaching standpoint, I personally would teach try to be staggered in some form, not full blown two hands like this, but also don't just only punch with one arm. I think there's a happy medium.
Yeah. Kind of a
Use it.
late
They
arriving,
swipe.
like a late
Yeah,
arriving second punch or a late arriving second hand with a heavy are you trying to be heavy with the inside hand? You trying to get the inside
yeah.
breastplate and
Take off that inside move out of a right guard spot. Obviously, you want to stay inside out of the guy,
yeah.
and I think the heavy left hand followed by the right hand to lock it in is really important. That's just me.
What, Andy, what are you studying? What's your major gonna be?
Major is insurance and risk management, so it's mainly a basis in business,
Okay.
and then you get more into like some of the insurance classes, stuff like that.
How has your and I again, I did some I told you already, I admitted to you that I did some cyber stalking and looked into some high school stuff and watched a high school video of you, being interviewed, and you talked about having calculus and all that. How much do you think your intellect has helped you with your transition?
Academically, football
Yeah.
speaking, both. I think, academically, it's one of those things. I was so busy in high school that the ability to have classes, only in the morning and then come home and you have that time. And being in all those rigorous classes in high school has really prepared me well academically. I don't think there's been too much of a shoot, I forgot about this or I forgot about that. It's been pretty good. I think from a football standpoint too, the IQ and football awareness has really helped. So picking up a playbook and knowing exactly what you're supposed to do, like we kind of talked about earlier, just being able to go. I think that's definitely something
So
I,
so
I would
taking
look for as a
Yeah,
coach.
I was gonna say, so taking some of the things off of your plate and being a really smart guy and playing 3 sports and like, your high school career seems like it was probably jam-packed with stuff to do, right? And so
Yeah,
by whittling that down to just doing football and just doing 15 hours, 18 hours a semester, you're more than capable of handling all that and then having some downtime to keep your brain fresh and keep everything going in the right direction there.
yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that helps me a lot, and you can call me old school or whatever, but I think looking at writing stuff down,
Mm,
as crazy as it sounds, you can use your phone calendar or whatever, but the motion of writing some stuff down, your calendar every day, what time you're gonna wake up, something as little as that, what time you wanna leave for the stadium. Just somewhere in your mind, if you're not, like, lost, you don't feel
mhm,
like you feel like you have a plan all the time, and I think another thing that I did in high school and I've do now is, like, naps. I know that sounds crazy, but after I get done with my classes, I have my morning's classes. I come back, I eat lunch. I've usually got between 30 minutes to an hour to kind of downtime before we've got practice, lift, meetings, whatever it is right now in spring ball. Taking a 30-minute nap to mentally reset and
mhm.
get into football mode, if you will, I think is huge. In high school, I would do it on game days. We would come in the locker room, I get all my stuff laid out, and we don't go home. So we would have 4 hours before you got to be out on the field. 7 o'clock start. We got out at 2:30. You've got all day basically. The first thing I would do is I had a pillow and I would go find a spot and I would take a 20-minute nap. It clear your mind of anything, any distractions, and I think that's been huge. So
Well, that's good advice. I've never been able to nap, man. Like, I would have loved to do that. Can you just crash out? You have an off button, you hit it, like, you touch your nose, boop, and you turn off and you're out?
yeah, and I mean, not really. There's definitely days that I find it hard to sleep, like take that nap or whatever. I think in high school it's easy. You get done with a school day and you're just exhausted. You're
Toast,
done.
yeah.
But definitely now, I mean, if one of my classes is easy or I'm just listening to a lecture, I'll come back and be like, hey, I don't know if I could fall asleep. But always lay down or try to take your mind off something. So if that's watching a YouTube video or
It'll
seeing whatever,
lead to the nap,
yeah,
get you
lead
there.
to something to distract yourself from what's going on around you. Kind
Okay,
of that way when you go into football, it's football.
gotcha.
You're not thinking about, "Oh, I've got this assignment. Oh, I've gotta go do this. Go to the grocery store." You're not thinking about those things.
Yeah.
You can give your full attention to one thing.
What are you most looking forward to for next season? What's the point of excitement for you? This is gonna be your first collegiate year, hopefully going in as hopefully everything stays safe and you going in as a starter and anything in particular that you're looking forward to with anticipation?
Yeah, I mean, having traveled places is definitely that was something I looked forward to last fall, and I think that's still something I look forward to. Just with the schedule changing, we'll get to go up to Iowa. We'll go to South Dakota this year, I believe. But I think
Is
the
that
first game.
that's where, I think Drew was telling me about their fans are crazy up there, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think all the Dakota schools have really, really loud fan bases and make it for an interesting
It
environment.
was an off down meter, I think, or offsides meter or false start meter. I think he said that the pizza every
That was
time they
Montana.
oh Montana, okay.
So we flew to Montana this fall, and I would arguably say it was louder than Indiana from
Okay.
a fan standpoint because the Indiana fans were more spread out and they weren't sunken into the middle of a mountain range. And Montana Stadium was by far the loudest place I've been since other than maybe a concert. I mean, it
Yeah.
was loud. So it was very interesting, yeah.
I thought that was hysterical with the false start meter and every time you get a false start, the cost of the pizza goes down. And I thought that was
Yeah.
brilliant. I was like, man, if I'd been in college, I would have been leading the cheers to get that pizza cost down for sure. You're looking forward to going back out to South Dakota. Obviously, all the Dakota schools are always a challenge. Montana schools are challenges when you go out there. You know that they're going to always be in the hunt, top five programs for going out and defending national champions and playing for national championships. So that kind of is a barometer for you to see where you guys are as far as the program goes. And
Yeah, and
hopefully,
I think that's a big point for me is go and, be able to look at these guys and see how I stack up and I want to compete. I'm a very competitive person in nature, and I think that makes me a good football player, that makes me a good offensive lineman. I don't want to fall second to anybody. I think being able to go against the best in the FCS is an amazing opportunity. Kind of pivoting and everything, looking forward to is we play SEMO in the first game of the season, and SEMO being my mom grew up down south of St. Louis, and she's my cousin's gonna go there this fall, so
it's like a
there's a little
little
bit of roots there.
civil war here going
I've
on.
got I've got 3 or 4 buddies that are on the roster right now, offensive linemen who I
Okay.
trained with over Elite Football Academy.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting just from a not that I don't know guys on other teams. Being in the Valley, you got the Dakota schools, Iowa schools, Youngstown, SEMO being that first non-conference game at nighttime. I think it'll be really cool just to be like, even if they're not playing, there's something different.
Yeah.
It's like this is close to home. There's a more competitive edge to it, even and being the first game of the season. I'm just looking forward to the season in general. But
You said you're down there at their place?
no, we're hosting it at
Oh, it's
home,
at home. Okay.
so
Okay.
it'll be pretty cool too. They're coming to us.
How far away is St. Louis from you guys? A couple hours?
So St. Louis, Terre Haute's about 245,
Okay. So it's not too
3-ish,
bad.
give or take.
Not too bad a
It's
drive.
straight highway
Okay.
miles, so it's
Yeah.
pretty good. Emo being probably an hour and a half south of me. Well, I know when we bus to SIU, that's not as fun of a drive. SEMO is just across the river from SIU
Got it.
down there, Illinois, Missouri border. Sure, it's not a great drive. I'm pretty sure what their distance is, but
Well, that's exciting. So you got some buddies coming in. You got your mom so is your mom, she gonna be an Indiana State fan or is she gonna be a homer? And have you had that discussion with her yet? Who she's gonna be rooting for?
yeah, she's definitely all ISU.
Okay.
My
All right.
my aunt and
Good.
uncle, my cousin's parents, I think. I don't know. I hope they come up for the game. It would be cool just to have a little more family there. Everything else. Ideally, it's the first start
Yeah.
for college career. Have lots of people there, but yeah, we'll
After
see.
games, do you guys, I know when we were in school, we had a parents tent and all the players' parents would get together and feed us afterwards. And they would all bring dishes of food, like cookout stuff. And it was always a spread for a home game for us. So after the game, we'd leave the locker room, we'd go straight to the parents' tent and they would have coolers of food and tables of food and desserts. And it was a great spread. The William and Mary football parents were awesome as far as taking care of us. Did you guys do anything like that up at ISU?
Yeah, so they typically feed us right after the game. Like you'll have a to-go box of Chick-fil-A or McAllister's Deli, some sort of
Mm.
like high protein dietary meal in your system. But usually, yeah, all the parents are really awesome. A lot of the all-line parents actually have like a tent like that. They tailgate out before the games. They bring up, different foods, whatever. Usually I'll end up taking home whatever my parents brought up for the tailgate as kind of a leftovers or whatever.
Feed you a
So
couple meals during the week.
yeah, something different. Not right now I'm in the dorms, so looking at dorm food and dorm food's not great, but
Are you gonna do year 2 at the dorms or are you moving off campus?
yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna move off campus. I'll be closer to
Good.
a lot of Drew will actually live upstairs from me
Okay.
in the apartment complex, so that'll be nice. Be around more of the offensive linemen. There's only 4 of us right now in the dorms, freshmen. So being around the whole group of guys and being a little more involved, maybe just it's not
Socially.
like it's
Yeah.
Yeah, socially. It's not
Yeah.
like it's really that far from campus or anything. It's just you're there. You're walking distance from most of
Yeah.
the guys. It'll
You're
be a little
surrounded with
better.
everybody on the same schedule. You don't have kids that aren't athletes running around getting in the way, making noise, being enthusiastic and energetic after practice when everything hurts and you just don't want to deal with people coming in your dorm
Yeah,
room and messing with you. Well, that's fantastic. Well, as we start to wind down here, I got a couple more questions for you. First, what is your go-to pizza topping?
probably pepperoni.
Just pepperoni,
Gonna have
okay.
to.
And
Yeah,
do you have a place up there in Terre Haute that local place that you're getting pizza
I have
from, or
not really explored much into the pizza world. I think the biggest thing we all go get is Chipotle, which
okay.
is kind of funny, but you just get the carbs in you, get like clean protein. I think that's a good one. I think I've always
You have to do some
gone towards
exploring, man,
Mexican
and
food.
find your go-to pizzeria place, man. That's a
I
must.
know. There's really hasn't no one asks to go get pizza. The dining hall's got pizza. If you're like and that's not great, but I think if you don't like what they're serving, it's a burger or pizza. So
Yeah,
no one's really
gotcha.
asking to go get pizza. Just
Okay.
kinda
No, I
kinda
understand
goofy,
that.
but
That's cool.
yeah.
But topping is pepperoni, just traditional pepperoni guy. Have you
Yeah.
done have you done, Mike's Hot Honey on the pepperoni yet? Have you had anything
Oh,
like that?
it's yeah, that is my go-to would be throw a little bit of Mike's Hot Honey on top of pepperoni pizza, couple pepper flakes, maybe a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Oh, yeah, okay. I we
I
we could
like
we could share pizza, you and me. That would be good.
yeah.
That sounds good.
I've had that a lot. It's probably that is my favorite way to eat pepperoni pizza, so
All right, I like that. Next question for you, and this is my second last question. I'll save the last question is kind of like a guilty pleasure question, but the offensive line guys as a unit are typically what I think are the funniest group of guys that you'll ever have accumulated in any one spot. Do you have any stories that can illustrate how funny those guys are? And I say there's nowhere on earth that's funnier than an offensive line room meeting like 10 minutes before the meeting's supposed to start where you got everybody there and it's just open season on whatever you can find.
yeah, I think the guys are really good, and I'm not gonna get, like, too into, like, examples of names or anybody, but, like, they'll take a picture of somebody and make, like, a meme or a GIF or something out of them or draw something to make them look goofy. Our group chat was full of those. Fall camp, we're sitting there waiting between meetings or whatever, and someone's falling asleep on the couch, and we're like, we wake him up or do we take a picture of him and make him do something look like he's really goofy. I mean, I think, sitting in those meeting rooms early, another one, like, someone will pass gas and then coach
Uh,
will walk in and it's like, you're like, "Oh, that's probably not a good thing," but then if someone doesn't own up to it, it's like, "Oh, really?"
that's probably gonna be a
That's,
common theme, yeah, for a while.
yeah, offensive lineman,
And
but
do you guys, have you got all Coach Funk's mannerisms down? Is there stuff is Coach Funk the butt of a joke every once in a while too about what he says, how he
y
does, how he acts?
yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely gotten more personable as I've gotten to know him, and he definitely will crack, like, a joke or something. Sometimes he can be very serious at practice. Then you get into a meeting and you're like, he'll make a joke and you're like, is he joking or not? And then he'll kind of
That's right.
smile at you and then everyone kind of starts laughing. And you're like, okay, he was just messing around with them. It's like
But
he'll say something about like,
do you guys when you leave the meeting room, are you talking like him? Do you have his accent down? Do you mimic his talking? Is that something that happens?
not really. I
No?
mean, I think everyone respects him real like as a person, as a coach. I mean, yes and no. Like there's definitely different things that like, oh, he was in a good mood today or oh, his pet his puppy must have pooped before he got here and he had to clean it up or
He's
something.
taking it out on you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Man,
I mean, there's definitely things but, like, I don't not anything in particular,
nothing
no.
bad. Okay. And then my last question here, you're getting ready to walk out of the tunnel. You guys are getting ready to leave the locker room. You're walking out on the field. You've done all your pregame. This is for the last entrance and you're done. You're going out. You're going to run through the banner, whatever you guys do. Go to the sidelines and the game's getting ready to start and you pull your earbuds out. You have a lock-in song or focus song that you play regularly that gets you going?
Yeah, I actually do. So it kinda flows. I don't like the locker room music. I always throw these headphones on.
Mhm.
Been awesome. Yeah, I start with, like, some slower country, then start speeding it up, and then I'll hop into, like, just classic rock. So AC/DC,
Okay.
Metallica, Guns N' Roses, all that type of stuff. Listening to that, and then I always walk out last minute and a half, walk out to Back in Black by AC/DC.
Okay.
So it's kind of big for me, it's a big thing. I don't know. everyone's a little different. There's guys who would rather not think about practice and or the game and laugh and distract themselves, and then they can just flip that switch. For
Yeah.
me, I think listening to that hard rock kinda gets me in a, "All right, it's go time" kinda mood, so
Builds it up
yeah,
for you.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
funny. You said Back in Black. When I was a redshirt freshman, man, I made the travel squad, and I was athletic enough to be on a couple special teams, and so I earned my varsity letter as a redshirt freshman playing special teams. And I was light in the tail, man. When I got to college, I weighed maybe 235 my senior year in high school. When I got to William and Mary, I was 211. I lost 20 some pounds over the course of the summer and spring, and I was just running. I was so concerned about being in shape. I just ran all the time. Well, I lost a bunch of weight. So it took me a solid year and a half to get back up to 235, 240 range. And so we're the number one team in the East. If I remember correctly, I think we were number 5 or 6 ranked team in the country at the time. And University of Central Florida, back when they were Division One AA, they barely backed into the playoffs. I mean, they were like the 18th team in the country or something like that. And they made the Ivy League teams couldn't go to the playoffs, so they got bumped in. So because they had a bigger stadium, we played in the Citrus Bowl. They played in the Citrus Bowl, so we had to travel to them, even though we were the number 4 or 5 ranked team in the country or whatever it was. And so we get down there, and these jokers are walking around during pregame, and they got their shirts off. They're wearing sunglasses. They're walking around a bunch of cocky, arrogant dudes. And so it kind of pisses us off a little bit. And next thing I know, we're in pregame and we're stretching and we're sitting in our line stretching. And then all of a sudden, AC/DC, that guitar riff at the beginning of the song comes on, dun, 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 dun. And all of a sudden, UCF comes run out of the locker room, and they're wearing black helmets, and they have the black tinted eye shields, and they're all wearing black arm sleeves and black gloves and black jerseys and black pants and black tights and black socks. And they all come run out of the locker room. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life to see AC/DC Back in Black playing as they came out of the locker room. And I just went, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And this little red shirt freshman punk in the back of the stretching lines just kind of melted into this puddle of crap. And they proceeded to, they rushed for like 400 and some yards on us and beat us by 2 touchdowns and ended our season. And, but when you say Back in Black, it takes me straight back to that little redshirt freshman fall of 1990, watching them come out getting ready to kick our butts. So thanks for bringing that bad memory up for me here at the
Yeah,
end of our
sorry. It's alright.
at the end of our interview. But I like that song, man. I can see how that would get you going and ready to go. So I look forward to following you guys, and I don't know, but I might even be able to. I'm gonna try to make it up to a game this year. I got some connections up there in Indiana. Some friends of my son are still up there in Terre Haute, so might have to go up and visit him and check out the Fighting Sycamores there at that stadium there on, was it Wabash Road? I think it is. Is it
Yeah,
goes down there?
Wabash.
I'll go hit the Wabash Avenue Stadium and check out the Fighting Sycamores and see you and Drew waging war there on the field. So I look forward to that.
Awesome.
I'll give you last words. Anything else you want to share about your experience there at Indiana State?
Drew's probably talked about this more being a transfer, but it's find your home in the world we live in with the portal and everything else. Find somewhere that you have friends. You know, at the end of the day, your buddies and your teammates are probably gonna be the guy standing your wedding.
Right.
Drew said that last night. He's
Mhm.
like, that's just how it is. And I think for my biggest advice for a high school kid would be find somewhere that feels like home, really. Somewhere that you're gonna be homesick, but not gonna be wanting to go home every weekend. Find somewhere that you have those connections with guys and you really enjoy being around guys because at the end of the day, you're living here.
I think that's the amount of wisdom you just threw out there, Andy, is unbelievable. I think that for such a young guy, having such insight into what's going on for future guys coming in, and you yourself, that kind of sounds like you found your home and you've settled in and you're making it your place and you're thriving there. Hats off to you, man. That's a great job coming in a single year. You've carved out a place for yourself on the field. You've carved out a place for you socially. You know, you're moving to the apartment complex where all the offensive line guys are. So who knows the hijinks that are going to happen there? And you feel like you're settled. And like you said, man, what more could you ask for? These guys that you're making bonds with, that you're going to have as lifetime friends. I'm 55. I still keep in touch with my offensive line, the guys that played next to me. We have email chains and group chats that go around throughout the week, and it's always fun to go back and reflect on those good old days of when you had the opportunity to put the pads on, because it's a fleeting opportunity. It doesn't last for very long, and even if you do make the next level, it ends for everybody. Father Time's undefeated, right? And
Yeah.
so I look forward to following you guys And I appreciate and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're getting towards the end of the semester there. You got finals coming up. You got spring ball winding down. So I'm thankful for you taking this time out with us. And so as we end off here tonight, remember, if you master the trench, you'll win the war. Hope you're enjoying Trenchometry. Assuming that you are, please hit that like button and subscribe. Remember, master the trench, you win the war.